Hey guys, what's going on? So today I just have the farewell video to the mighty 1993 Buick Regal. This thing is off the scrap, and unfortunately it sucks to see it go off the scrap, but that's what happens to these cars after we're done with them. So let's go ahead and take a look around and see what I kept and see what I didn't keep. First you'll see I kept basically all the suspension off the passenger side. This strut is in fact bent. I even kept the wheel bearing because I believe the wheel bearing was actually replaced not that long ago. There's like anti-seize and stuff like that kind of all over the place on it. So and the lower ball's riveted to the strut, or the spindle set up here, so that's gonna have to stay with the strut there. Overall, really not too much more discovered about this Buick Regal. It's just very crunched in. I did crawl underneath and just cut the brake lines and all that stuff off, and you'll see that in just a minute, because it was so clean. I said I can't leave those, especially when I drive a Buick Regal on the road that has crappy gas lines and stuff like that. And I forgot to point out in my aftermath video, I didn't even talk about this frame rail. This frame rail, I did not pre-bend this. I did not do anything to this, and it went up by itself. A W body going up by itself. Tell me that ain't a little rare. Not only that, but that's actually the same part that bent on the Lumina, except it bent down and over. This one's going up. It actually ripped off in the same exact spot like the Lumina did, and so the other half of the frame rail is all crunched in right there, and this is what's left of this. It's a little flimsy, but pretty funny. It just decided to do that, just go by itself, just going up sky high. Basically, that's a radiator killer right there. That's how that thing's sitting. So, too bad, so sad. Over here, I might take a couple lug nuts off because I like these style lug nuts here. For my derby cars, but I don't know, we'll see. This side, really not much to talk about. You guys pretty much saw all in the aftermath video. If you haven't seen the aftermath video, well, I guess you're getting a little spoiled here, but it's basically the same thing other than the suspension and everything being on it, and you guys will see the I got the cage out of it as well, and the whole motor mount, or whole motor, is all stripped and stuff. I'll show you guys that in a minute. This side I kept everything, as you guys can see. Lower control arm, axle, strut, you know, tie rods, even everything. I've tried to keep as much. I thought about taking the rack and pinion, but I didn't. But I even took the caliper and the brake line, all that stuff. I just wanted to get as much stuff off of this as I could, because I know these parts are getting harder and harder to find. So, and they're clean. This strut was still completely straight, even though I took some good licks on it. So, got that out. This motor mount is destroyed. It's brand new, but it's destroyed. I don't know how well you guys can see that on camera. And actually, word to the wise, if you're ever derbying one of these, double check these bolts right here. These bolts. You guys can see here, see how there's a clean spot underneath that one? That's because this whole plate is actually flopping up and down with the motor mount. I didn't know that was happening. Had I known that, and that side did the same thing, it slid forward and back and all which way, I would have tightened these bolts. If they couldn't get any tighter, then I would have took them out, and I would have put Loctite on them or something of that nature and put them back in. And depending on what class you run, you could even maybe weld or just tack weld those bolts to the plate itself. Or depending on the rules, you could even weld this plate solid to the subframe, because this plate moving was certainly not helping my motor with rocking back and forth and stuff like that. I got to take that off so it doesn't go flying down the road. Go ahead and throw that inside here. Front bumper, like I said in the aftermath video, my Ford Freestyle bumper, a lot of people like to crap on these, but I've been proving left and right that these are decent bumpers. These really aren't that bad. You just got to play a little bit smart about it. You can't make super stupid shots off the bat if you want to save your radiator. But most of the time I have these do me pretty good. I think on the next W body, I'm going to try to experiment, which is currently sitting literally right up on the hill. I think I'm going to take my grinder, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna grind away a part of this crush box right on top here, and to see if I can get it to go straight in instead of it just keeps on buckling down. I'd really prefer it to go straight in, or even maybe even kicked a little bit up, so that way it's putting more pressure on the frame to go up. Although this frame is going up, admittedly. I don't know. You guys probably can't see the angle here, but it's starting to kick up right here. So, which we like it when they kick up, like I just spoke about in another video before this. But it actually kicked a little bit more up after this previous Derby. I think probably when I was going head-on with that Corolla or something, or when I was hitting the back of that Subaru, it started to kick further over here. And the seam down here was staying true, which is what you want. You don't want the seam splitting apart on the bottom. And as long as that's not splitting apart on the bottom, you're pretty good as far as going up. It was definitely going up, and it would have made this car extremely, extremely strong. Even though it goes up, that's when this frame rail will start to touch this core support, and man, they get tough. Zach's workshop had a Buick Regal years ago that he had one of those do that, and man, that was one tough car. But let's go ahead and talk about what we took off the motor. Well, the answer is just about everything as far as external parts go. Power steering pump, alternator, AC compressor, belt, the motor, the front motor mounts, the vacuum modulator, the starter, spark plugs, and I think I'm finally starting to run out of stuff. The hoses, obviously, I talked with the radiator, which was, I believe, still good. It's sitting over there against the trailer. Still got to load this thing up with, so all that crap on the trailer is gonna, or at least a decent portion of it's gonna end up in this car. But yeah, this, and I'm sorry about the lighting if it's crappy. It is what it is. But yeah, this thing came apart for me pretty well, and can't complain too much. Certainly was quite the trip with this car. I'm gonna be sad to see it go, but I like keeping as many parts as I can for future cars, and in case, you know, someday when I get old and somebody has one of these, you know, it says, hey, I need parts, I can't find them, because parts are already getting hard to find for these. Another 20 to 30 years, they're going to be basically impossible. So there's going to be unique parts to these that nobody makes. So I'd rather keep some of the external stuff. I was even thinking about keeping the power steering lines, but it might be a mistake not to keep them, but I don't know. But I do know that I definitely took quite a bit off this motor. I'm pretty happy with what I took. I was actually going to keep that water pump pulley here, but it was kind of being a bugger to get off, and I said, screw it, I'll just let it go. So I thought about keeping tensioner too, but those are relatively findable. So yep, that's pretty much it for the 1993 Buick Regal. It has been quite the car for us, and this certainly was one of my favorite cars of all time. It certainly is right up there with the 1998 Chevy Lumina, and someday I may make a video, and relatively soon, of all my favorite cars, or all my cars and where they rank in a tier list, essentially. I can already tell you, and you guys can already kind of figure out, this one's right up there in the S tier. I think this is kind of the I think it might be the best car I've ever had. It really has proven to be, especially for how rushed the build was, really proven to be a great car. It was very clean, and it's obviously still is, but it's too bad. But I mean, you could tell just by the strut itself. I mean, it's still basically black. So I mean, this thing was just fairly spotless as far as rust goes. It was very light surface stuff. I mean, the lines are right there, and they tell the story. I mean, those are the original lines and fuel filter and stuff like that, and they're in crazy good condition. So that's why I kept them. So so thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry this video was kind of thrown together, but I'm glad to have brought you this footage. And go ahead and watch. If you haven't seen the derbies for this thing, go ahead and watch them. They were pretty good, let me tell you. I'm not going to complain about a first and a third. So Stay tuned for more videos. There's going to be more videos coming on the Lumina and on the other Buick Regal we have. So stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody.